So I wanted to just give a little bit of a life update. Everything's going well for me, you know. In the past week, I have received hundreds, literally hundreds of hateful comments from people telling me that I'm stupid, that I'm an idiot, that I'm brain dead, people threatening me, you know. And I haven't been letting that get me too much. But what's really funny is they all were saying this because I claimed that Portland was not a war zone. There's a bunch of far-right MAGA Republicans that don't like hearing the truth from a liberal. So what really pleases me is that a few days later, after all of this bombardment of hatred, Trump-appointed federal judges come out and say that Portland is not a war zone. So I got people calling me names for being telling the truth. I was right. I was right. You were wrong. So, you know, people want me to stop posting videos. They want me to stop creating content. They want me to stop telling the truth. They want me to stop telling it like it is. But if people I don't politically agree with are saying that my political opinion about a situation I currently live down the street from is correct, then I'm not the problem. And I'm going to keep creating videos, even if you don't like it, you know? That subscriber count is going up. If it keeps going up, I'm going to keep making videos, you know? It might go down, but it's not a fluid process. I'll keep posting videos as long as they're getting views. You know, even if it's not very many, one is more than most of these people criticizing me has ever gotten on their YouTube videos. A lot of people criticizing me aren't making content, you know. They think they're like an expert in the field and that their opinion matters to me, and it doesn't. If you're not giving me constructive criticism, it doesn't matter. But then there are a lot of people that are disguising their constructive criticism as personal threats, and or other way around. They're disguising personal threats as constructive criticism, and that doesn't mean anything to me either. So, you know, it's just like, I'm going to keep doing it. It's making me happy. There are people that agree with me, and that's awesome. You know, it's going great. So currently what I'm doing right now is I'm still in school. You know, I passed my most recent test and I'm working on my next test. The school I go to is competency based, meaning you study all the material and take a test. And if you pass that test, you get your credits. So currently, I'm doing a course that is being proctored through a different organization called CompTIA, which pretty much every information technology specialist has a certification from. And it's their Core 2 certification, which is basically like entry-level computer troubleshooting. So I'm learning a lot of course material that I've already proven competency in before, like the CIA triad or changing my Windows screensaver. That's seriously something I spent 2 hours learning how to do, even though I already knew how to do it. But then I'm also learning a lot of cool tricks and tips about troubleshooting Windows problems that is really being seen in my day-to-day life, where, you know, I'm having problems with this laptop I'm currently speaking from. You know, I've been having problems with that, and then I've been using this knowledge that I'm learning in introductory level IT to fix it. And it's really like, it feels really awesome. I'm seeing this knowledge I'm learning have a practical use in real life that is relevant to me. And it really makes me wonder, like, after I've gotten my master's degree, where am I going to be, like, with my own personal computing experience? You know, it's really, really kind of crazy. So I'm studying for that Core 2 lesson, and I'm really worried about it because the studying guide is a lot different than my previous courses I've aced. So I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to retain content, but I've been taking AI practice quizzes based on the Core 2 exam, and I've been passing them with a grade that would pass the final, so it's been reassuring. But, you know, I always panic about everything, and I'm really worried that test day is going to come and I'm just going to lose all this information. So I've scheduled some time with my teachers next week, actually later this week, the end of the week, if you want to consider that this week or not, Sunday. So hopefully, you know, that can brush up some of my confusion on some of these concepts and help me feel more confident going into the test. So I'm really looking forward to that. And as far as the love life goes, you know, I was talking to one of my counselors about it, and he wanted to make sure that I'm not getting myself into a romance scam with this woman who wants to live in an RV. And that hadn't occurred to me because so far she's been incredibly genuine and all the signs of catfishes haven't been there. For example, her photos don't show up on a reverse image search. But, you know, anybody can be susceptible to a romance scam, even like Harvard graduates. They trigger, you know, people that are looking for love and try to exploit them, and I worry that I'm being exploited. However, historically speaking, given my interactions with her, there have been some red flags that look, hey, maybe this is a romance scam. But all of the poignant aspects that say this definitely is a romance scam haven't been there. For example, I stated earlier, none of her images that she's given me to prove her identity have come back under anybody else's image. In fact, when I reversed Google search it on images, nobody shows up with that. And nothing shows up, actually. There's no results to that. And I also did Tiny Eye, I believe is what it's called, and nothing's coming up. So it's reassuring in that matter. But I've been trying to schedule a video call with her, and she says she's willing to do it, but not right now, which is one of those points that, is this a romance scam? Is this a catfish? Because in all of the material I've read about romance scams and catfish, it says that they'll say they're willing to meet up with you or have a phone call with you, and then they'll have some excuse as why that can't happen. So I'm really worried that I fell for a romance scam, but luckily I didn't lose any money and I saw the signs before it ever affected me too much. But it could be legitimate. So I'm hoping that we can schedule a conversation, though this past week when I've been messaging her about it, she's not been replying, which is a red flag for me. But if her story is the truth, she's living in her car with very limited cell access. She has to have power banks to charge her phones on, which she might not always have around her. So while I may have fell for a romance scam, I also might not. It's looking 50-50 at this point. So I'm hoping that in this coming week I get some more confirmation that she is who she says she is, or confirmation that she is who she isn't, so that I can move on forward. But that's where I'm at in my life, and I just wanted to chat about it for a little bit. God bless you and have a great day.